Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to this week's recovery. This week I'm joined by the amazing Meg Mathews, where we're going to talk about recovery, menopause, and life in general. Welcome.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for having me.
Hi Meg, how's it going?
Going really well, feeling really good. Especially, I've got to just say, your daily meetings throughout this lockdown has keeping my head so together, and it could have gone off a million miles away.
Mm.
And so, for what you were doing, at first I was a bit like, every day? Oh, as you do, because we like to do those sort of things. But as you're doing it every day, you just feel brilliant every day, because every single day you have to restart every day from the beginning. If you have a good day on Wednesday, don't just guarantee that your good day is going to be on Thursday. Because I woke up with last night, which I hadn't slept very well, had a bit of anxiety, things just weren't feeling right, feeling a bit flat. And I know the things that I have to do, what I've been taught, the tools to put into place. You just don't take that for granted. I know that a bit of a meditation, say my prayers, for me is to go for a walk on my own. I have structure in my day. Because when I first, knew that I was an alcoholic addict, it just meant to me to put down the drugs and the drink. But that was the tip of the iceberg. The iceberg underneath is still being chipped away at 54 years later.
Yeah, I mean, let's go back to, people don't know that me and you have known each other a very long time. I first met you working in the Great Gear Market in Kings Road, and I was 16, 15, 16, and I always thought that you were older than me. I always tell people you are, but you're not. Actually, you're younger than me. But still keep to that story. So we knew each other then. And I kind of think, even when we first met, back then, I knew that I had a problem. I knew I had a problem with life. I didn't know I had a problem with drink, drugs, sex, or anything else. I knew I had a problem with life because I couldn't live life like normal people. It was always, I had to have everything. I had to have it then. Even if it meant stealing it, even if it meant getting it any way possible, whether it be clothes, whether it be food, I had to have it, and no one stopped me getting it. And then, kind of, as we talked, me and you went down for a walk the other day, social distancing. Walked down Kings Road the other day, and we walked past the Chelsea Potter, and the pub on Kings Road, and that's kind of where it kind of started for me. The alcohol. Because we would leave work and we'd go to the Chelsea Potter.
Straight away, everyone would meet there. And then you'd be in and out the toilet, bits of speed, whatever was going around. We didn't afford Coke in those days. It wasn't, early 80s, But it was, we'd go in there and it was all very social, wasn't it? It was all with music and social. So it didn't seem to be, at that time, it wasn't dark. At those times, the drugs and the drugs were working. And it was all part, and every time there was like a scene, like you say, there was a punk scene or a rave scene or this scene or coming up, it had certain drugs that went with it. And you would just do them. And I would do those long binge weekends when we had raves. So it would be, start on Friday, finish on Sunday. But I thought everyone else was doing that. But then my Sunday would not finish on a Sunday. I was that person that just couldn't.
Yeah,
was sucking for more.
Yeah, the last one standing. I like the fact that you picked up there on every scene has its own drugs. Every scene has its own drugs, has its own music. And what goes with the music is the drugs. So, it kind of all, it just emulates each other. When did you first think you had a problem with alcohol?
So with me, so people don't really know, basically before I ended up in the Great Gear Market, I was born in an island called Guernsey, Channel Islands. Then I was sent to live in South Africa, where I lived on a wine farm outside Stellenbosch. It was really beautiful. And then at the age of 10, I got sent to a Quaker school, which is right next door to the Soho farmhouse.
Isn't that where the Beckhams live? Isn't that the Beckham's house?
Yeah, it probably was. And it was a very small group of us kids. It was a Quaker school, and at that school, it just happened to be me, Guy Ritchie, Tabitha Ritchie, the guy that wrote Pig Bad. So we were all these kids together in this school, but we, as you imagine where we all are now and what we're all doing, you can imagine we were with together. And they used to have this thing called the hop at the weekend. And the hop was like, school dance. Well, we were going down, getting older children to buy stuff. We were only 11 and we were already doing snake bite and bottles of cheap sherry. And the minute I had that first drink, I never was sick. I didn't spit it out. It was like liquid gold. I was just like, wow. The first time that this child who felt very uncomfortable in her skin, found it hard to fit in, was quite shy, all of a sudden was like, I can dance, I can chat up boys. I just thought this was the best thing that ever happened to me. And it was like, yeah. Every Saturday night we'll do this. But I was young and it was just fun. And then, of course, we went back to school. I mean, we all had terrible hangovers the next day, but, it didn't turn into, you can't do daily drinking or anything. It was just, I just thought it was good fun. Everybody in the school was doing it. So that's where it first started. And I really didn't understand why everybody else would just have a few sips. I mean, I was hanging on that bottle for dear life. And, and doing all the things that, I mean, I'll relate to these things and they'll probably get bored up and go, oh, Meg did this, but I'm just being truthful, anything from Tipex dinners on my sleeve to Lady Esquire spray, which was you spray it in a can and you sniff it, or butane gas
that you build up. Lid and take the screw lid up and pour it onto gore.
Yeah, doing all this stuff because you're with kids and you're in these sort of little gangs of kids, and these kids are your little posse. So you try everything that they try. The only thing I didn't try was glue sniffing, and I don't know why, but it just never came up.
No, I never did glue either. Glue wasn't either. It looked too dirty and too messy for me.
Too dirty, and I just used to see people with it all stuck on their face. No, because you imagine us, because that just would, you just get found out. So, you're must be a bit thick because it's all over your face, and it's just dirty, you can't get it off. So I think that's where mine first started. It just gave me that freedom, that ego of mine was just like, yes, I found myself.
From that point onwards, it didn't suddenly go all like, okay, suddenly everything just went into alcoholism. What happens is we kind of have that first awakening experience. Then we manage it because we go to work, we do the odd drink in the week, and then at weekends we would go out and we would party.
Yeah.
And as the partying extends, and the more the party scene we get into, the more drug taking we take, right?
Yes.
Because when you were working the Great Gear Market, I used to walk past you and cut at you on a daily basis.
Yeah.
We worked at the top, and we used to work down the bottom, and we thought we were so elite down there. I never looked at you and thought, oh, she's got a drug problem or she's got a drink problem.
No.
I thought that because we didn't have them then. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of just manifesting. So after those days,
we go to Drummond's. We go to Drummond's wine bar as well. I mean, so it was also like we'd leave there, and then we go to Drummond's wine bar, and you do a few things on the way, and you meet the boys from Reese, and then a few boys from Boy, and we'd all meet up there, and it was sort of a thing. But like you say, we were functioning because we'd be at work every day.
Yeah.
And we weren't really doing anything that wasn't. For me, though, to tell you this bit of the story, when I worked in a Great Gear Market, I'd come down on the milk float. I'd hitched down and saved up for the whole of, I was doing graphic communications in Norwich Art College, and I worked in a fish and chip shop Friday, Saturday and Sunday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. And I'd saved up for a pair of Vivienne Westwood, the rocking horse shoes.
Yeah, amazing.
And the reason I went in the Great Gear Market because World's End wasn't open, and I was sitting around the coffee bar, and someone rang in and said they weren't going to go to the Crazy Colour and Direction store today, and he went, right, you're fired. And then he looked at me, I think it was, remember there were the Iranian guys?
Yeah. The side of the game,
Yeah.
It's all Barry M makeup. It's all Barry M and Crazy Colour,
Colour. And then he also had the crystals bit, the diamantes. And he went to me, what are you doing? And I went, oh, I'm not doing anything. I'm just broke up from holidays. He said, do you want a job? And I was like, okay. And he said £120 in cash in hand a week. Well, that to me was so much money. And I was like, yeah. So then I went to a telephone box and I rang back to Norwich and I went, I'm here. And they said, oh, you need to speak to Norfolk Dave. So someone gave me a number and they said, he'll be at this phone box. You've got to call him at 7. So I called him at 7 and he said to me, right, I'm going to give you this address. Knock on the door, tell them you're a friend of mine, and you can move in with them. Stockwell Park Estate, go on a Brixton, get out. I'd never even heard of Stockwell Park Estate. Thank God I didn't know how scary all these places were. So I arrive at this door, I open the door, these two goth punks, like the hair out here, open the door, really, really gouging out, if you don't know what it means. And I was like, oh, hello. And they said, you can stay with us, but you have one job to do. Every morning, you have to go all the way to the barrier block. You have to knock on the door and you put £10 through the letterbox and you take it back. You don't speak and you bring it back to us. So I knew this, I did this snack. So for me to stay there, I had to do it every morning before I went to work to the gear market and when I got back. Now, at night, they offered it to me all the time, but my ego, because I just thought, I don't fucking know how they're smoking that or what they're doing with that. I just went, oh no, I've just got my speed. I'm quite happy just with my state bike. But it was only my ego and my having no clue how to do it that I never joined in.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't even know what to do, and I was too embarrassed. I thought, what if I lose it all, or what do I do? It wasn't, oh my God, I'm going to kill myself. That didn't come in my mind. It was like, I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing. So that did save me from doing that.
I kind of think with me as well.
And I lived with them.
When most of my friends were all like smack addicts, they were all on smack, and I was the only one that had a coke problem. Well, I didn't think I even had a problem then, but I was the only one that brought it up, as everyone else was always gouging out, and I would always be the one that would just get up while they were falling asleep.
Yeah, see, that was like me. I was just doing speed when they were doing that, I was just like, yeah, speed. There's always £10 a gram. It's easy. And you just stay up for days. It's great. Clean your own flat, even though you just think of it and you get spots and But, it was great back then. That's how I wanted to feel. I didn't want to be all like this. But that was the first time. So to stay in the squat, that's what I used to have to do. Go all the way and put this through, get this brown bag, and then give it to them.
So when did you actually think that, oh my God, I've got a problem with drink?
Right, okay, so then we went through all the 80s and all the 90s, and I think I realised I had a drink and a drug problem. I never really heard of AA or NA. No one ever pointed it out to me. I think I knew I had a problem in about 97, probably about 97.
Is that while in your marriage or after your marriage?
In my marriage, yeah. In my marriage. But when you're in the grips of addiction and you don't know, I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know because I just thought everybody was doing this, but I just had the worst hangovers, or I just didn't really stop, or I was maybe a bit aggressive, or because I wasn't the nicest of, I wasn't a happy drunk.
When you got drunk, did you go to blackout and not remember where you were?
Always blackout. There was not one time I was one of those who went blackout after 2 glasses of wine. So I never knew what was going on. I would wake up the next day full of fear, just ringing around, trying to apologize, see what I'd done, how many people I'd upset. And then when this goes on and on and on, it's just like, you think at the beginning of the night, it's like, I used to always say this, I just would say, I would love to go to Claridge's and go into that beautiful champagne bar and have 2 glasses of champagne, really dressed up, really nice, a few cheese straws, and that would be it. But my story would be, I would be there with the champagne, and then I would just think, fuck it, I'm getting a room, and then everyone would be back at the room, drinking all the minibar, calling loads of dealers, £3,000 later, walking down the stairs with the mascara down my face, the heel broken off my shoe, and going home for what? For like £4,000 later, and the Walk of Fame, and
Did you
then
get the
what?
cheese balled?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So, yeah. And I'll be looking around the room going, no one stop ordering, will you? It's carriages, a bloody, Coca-Cola, 25 quid, room service.
Yeah,
So, of course, by the end of it, you don't care. You're like, get whatever you want.
exactly. And we didn't think about consequences. You don't ever think.
Never consequences. No. It was always like at that moment. And I did have consequences. I had a family, and I had, I felt like I was too cool for school, and and all this sort of stuff goes on. And you just also, when you're in it, and you just don't want it to stop. And then that awful feeling of when you do get home, and then you're lying in bed, and then the waves come over you, and it's like you can't get to sleep, and these thoughts are going through your head, and you can get to pretty low places, and they're quite frightening as well. It's
you go from you try to go to sleep, and what happens is you're lying there, you're charged, and your mind's working overtime. So what you got to do is it starts to catastrophize in such a big manner. So you can go from 0 to 600 within 3 minutes, and your head will take you, oh my God, I've got a brown envelope through the door, to going to prison. Oh my God, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah. And then you're lying in there, and the birds are squeaking, and GMTV's come up, and that is it. And you're just like, and I've got to get through this another day. And then you get through the day, and you're all right again. And then next thing you know, someone calls up and says, "Oh, do you want to go to Groucho's for a drink?" And then it starts again, and then that's when it's that you start to see the pattern. And then there comes a time where it does stop really working, and then it comes a time where the phenomenal craving for everything just overtakes you, and then that's the most scariest feeling that's ever happened to me.
Do you think that at the beginning, when you were doing all that Claridge's stuff, and we have the circles of our friends that we mix in, and everyone's saying hi, everybody's partying, and no one knows when to stop, because everybody's kind of got the same problem in different areas, but no one wants to admit it because it's never come to the surface. So then when you're going into blackout, you become the scapegoat, in the sense of, oh my God, do you see the state of Meg? Oh my God, look at this. You know what I mean? We've all been there. I've been there all the time. And then what that does, that spirals our heads to another level of thinking, oh my God, the guilt and the shame that comes on us. Use on that, you drink on that guilt and that shame. Do you know what I mean?
You use on it, absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up, because that used to happen a lot to me with certain people. They used to go, did you see Meg? She was in such state. So then, like you say, you wake up in the morning and you're in such fear, and everything. You just think, oh my God, I've got to have another drink or another line to get rid of that fear. And it's the only thing that makes it go away.
I kind of think what's really important for people to hear is the fact that, that's not helpful. Anybody who's got a friend in that situation that's drinking too much or taking too much drugs, or think it's not helpful, you're backbiting and going back and saying, oh my God, did you see the state of her? It doesn't help anyone. Because that leads people to suicide and depression, all of those things that come
all of those things.
And I kind of think people watching this, if you've got a friend in that situation, don't backbite them, speak to them direct, right? Speak to them and just say, listen, slow down a little bit. The worst thing you can do, because you know what? There's always one person that will repeat it to you because they want you to feel what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I knew a few people who used to always do that, and and they'd be carrying on worse, but it was sort of made you the scapegoat. And
what it is, Meg, is like people like, oh, I'm not as bad as Meg. I'm not as bad as her. I'm not as bad as Tony. It used to happen all the time. You go, oh my God, I'm bad, but not as bad as him. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like, it's that if you point one finger, there's 4 pointing back at you. It's so bad. After you come through the marriage, what happened then?
So I came through the marriage, and
because also, can I just say, also it was all really public. Everything you did, Meg, was so public. It's not like okay, she's drinking at home, she's going out with a circle of friends at Wetherspoon. it wasn't like that. It was so public. It was so out there in the public eye. And people there were so many people in this world that wanted you to fail because who you were married to. Wanted you to fail. And you know, that pressure alone is fucking immense. Just a normal addiction. That's just like, you know, getting
so having that, because at the end of the day, I didn't have the cog or the PR world that person had. And I basically, you know, people were selling loads of stories on me. I had a private detective who managed to find out who the people were. I followed them all the way to Thailand, all the way to different places, through the bank. You know, I had the full-on PI done, and I found out who they were. And they were someone quite close to me, so that was really awful because all the stuff the newspapers were getting was, you know, stories, and then they were getting other stories, and then there was I wasn't like influential enough. I was just the ex-wife, so I had nobody. I didn't even know what to do.
Kicking you while you were down. That's exactly
and I didn't know about, you know, no one advised me go out and get a press agent because I was just a wife. I wasn't anyone famous. I didn't have a career. I had a daughter. So I didn't think I needed to have a press agent to, like, you know, to protect me from all of this. I was just like, I'm a mum and I need to get on with this as best I can. And lots of stuff were written, very hurtful stuff. I used to get terrible PTSD. Like the papers used to come out like at King's Cross, I think, the News World, at like 12 or something. I'd be over there.
Station in King's Cross.
Like trying to read the paper and then think, oh my God, I'm not in it this week, or I am in it. But in 1997, I was the third most written about woman in the UK. It was Lady Diana, followed by the Spice Girls, followed by me, and I was in the tabloids every single day. And it wasn't good stuff, everyone. I'm not saying they were writing nice things. They were.
No, they weren't.
They were very mean.
Well, we know what the media do. They build you up and then they stab you and cut you to pieces. That's what they do it to everybody. They've done it to everybody.
Everybody. And they were very mean.
The sad thing about this country is that they get away with that.
Yeah. And, you know, and it's like, you know, in the stuff that they do to Britney, they would just say things like, oh my God, doesn't her bum look big in this? And horrible things. You're just trying to be a normal mom. I mean, I'm not a model. I'm not this. And no, they just wanted to go, you know, what's she wearing? Just vile stuff. You know,
the pressure of that, and trying to hold it together. You know, coming through a divorce, then being so public, and all of that stuff that went with it, the stabbing in the back, the selling of the stories, all of that stuff. You know, trying to come through that sober or unscathed.
And not knowing at this point, I had no idea about AA or NA. No. I thought people drunk and felt like me when I drunk. I didn't know when I say to someone, or when I have a glass of wine, I feel like this. People go, no, I don't feel any of what you feel. I have a completely different feeling to what other people do. And then on top of having ADHD, which makes you, you know, a bit more...
Makes you like this.
Revved up. You. So when anything else, substances or whatever it is, it just makes it even more so. So we're more
it takes from a bomb to an atomic bomb. That's what
and, you know, but we don't know that because that's just normal to ourselves. But to other people, it's a bit like, hold back, you know what I mean?
Yeah, bucket. Tasmanian devils just entered.
And when everyone wants it, and then that's what's going to be going, shh, you're loud. I'm like, all right, I know I'm loud, all right, but you know, that sort of thing. And then I can't, you know, when someone says that to you, there's that, and you're, you know, you're slightly there, then that's going to annoy you. You're not going to have as much patience because this is all the stuff that I've learned in recovery: how to control myself, how to become a how not to react, how to speak to my sponsor before I send that email. I fucking hate you. Is to send it to her first and sit on it, and then the next morning it's not even worth sending.
You know that.
This is all what you get taught, and with these tools, it's just changed my life. It's made my life so much lovable, and every relationship that I have with my daughter, with you, with my best friends, everyone notices it.
Well,
everyone knows when I'm in recovery.
Because you're available, Meg. You've made yourself available. when we're in addiction, we're not available. We're not capable of having a relationship, because we're already having a relationship with drink or drugs. There's always a third party, and when you bring a third party into anything, it becomes messy. So the person who's having a relationship, they come second. They come second. Alcohol will always take precedent over everybody. Your son, your mum, your family, everybody. That's what the way it is. And when you put that stuff down and you start to learn to have a relationship with yourself, then you become available to everybody else. And that's one of the miracles of recovery. The fact that, you can see things, the value of things that you never thought had any value before. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it's like, you just think, when you first come in recovery, people don't really watching this and they don't know much about recovery. Like me, I went to rehab, and then I was just like, right, that's it, 28 days down. And then they said, oh no, this is called sets. And I'm like, sets? What do you mean? No. And they were like, no, forget the 28 days. That's just to get you, nice, healthy again. Now the hard work starts. And then you're like, really? And then you stand the book and start reading this book. And then, and it took me 5 years to completely understand all the spiritual side and the spiritual connection and ways of, it gave me the best tools to bring up a daughter, because I used to get jealous. But through this, I learned that all these feelings you sit with. I'd never sat with a feeling for 40 years. If I had a feeling, the feeling had to go with food or shopping or sex or drink or drugs or whatever it was.
The only time I ever felt was when I couldn't get drugs. That's when I felt oh my God, the fear that would come into play. The whole oh my God, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would ring a list of 12 dealers, and the number 12 was the worst one. You knew full well you were getting chalk. But you would still call that number, still allow him to deliver the chalk, and still not it, just because you had to go through that process. And that was the only time I had feelings, was when I couldn't get anything. Do you know what I mean? And suddenly, when you get clean and you get sober and you start to work with yourself and the feelings come back, it's about how, if you do that without working some form of program or some form of therapy or some connection with another addict, therapeutic value of one addict to another is you can't do it. If you do that without help, you don't understand those feelings, and each time you will relapse again, because those feelings, you've never had them before. It's all it takes is someone to die in the family. For things not to be going your way, and what do is we reach for that comfort. We reach that thing that we know best will change how we feel. But when you get sober and you don't have those crutches anymore, you have to learn how to not act on those feelings and accept those feelings.
Absolutely.
What about this isn't only about talk of recovery for a reason. You've recovered. Let's talk about the menopause stuff, because you've done it the last few years. For people that don't know, started around Meg's menopause. Meg's menopause. We call it megapause.
Megapause, Meg's menopause. So what happened was, 6 years ago, I was 48, and I wasn't feeling. I was a bit out of sorts. I was sober, but I was out of sorts, and I knew I was out of sorts, and I knew these feelings were feelings I hadn't really felt before. I felt a lot of anxiety, which I've always had a bit of underlying anxiety. That's probably why I was picked up the alcohol in the first place, because I was a bit anxious. Kept going to my GP. He just kept giving me these antidepressants. So I was on them for about a year, and then I decided to go to a different meeting. So you used to go around Hampstead and Gospel Oak and whatever. Anyway, I don't know, one night Healy said, come over to the Prada meeting. Ziggy, go over to the Prada meeting. So went over there, sat in the meeting, shared that I felt like I was a box of frogs. I felt like I was loopy. I wasn't sleeping. That was the first aeroplane I've heard for about 2 months.
Dripping.
Loopy. I was just not 100%. And I just thought, what is the use? I'm 5 years sober, but really, all I want to do is get rid of this feeling, and I've never felt like this. So I go into this meeting and I share, and I just said, you know what, I just really feel like having a drink because I feel nuts. I feel angry. I want to cry at everything. I've got foggy brain. I've got headache. You know, I've got no libido. You know, my family, I want to kill them. And as I left the meeting, you know, I shared that, and I just thought, you know, what, just might as well just pick up a drink. This woman called Astrid, she came up to me and she said, I think you're going through the menopause. And I was like, who do you think you are? That's like someone that's like 60, grey, with a walking stick. I thought, wow, who do you think she is? I said, me, the menopause. I said, I don't think so. She said, look, here's my number. Please take my number. If you want to talk about it, give me a call. And you know, we have that thing, so we sat in the car and the penny dropped, as one does. A higher power man said, think about that. I don't know why. He popped in my head and said, ring her when you get home. So rang her, 2.5 hours on the phone, became a really good friend, gave me all the things I needed, said to me to get to this NHS menopause clinic. So really, if it wasn't for the AA meeting, I would not have set up Meg's Menopause. So because Diggy, stop it. Because I basically had somewhere to go and share, which all these 18 million women that are in the UK do not have a place to share. That's why I set up Meg's Menopause and the app that people can talk. I was lucky enough as an addict to be able to sit in a room and just be honest about how I felt, and another woman from the same age as me to point it out and take me to one side and said, this is it. I then went to my GP, and the GP was like, can't see you for 2.5 weeks. But so I thought, right, I'll quickly go private in the meantime. So I went and got private, got all the estrogen, the progesterone and the testosterone privately within like 24 hours. I kept the 2.5 weeks going to the GP, went to the GP, ticked out all the stuff on the table that I'd got privately. And she looked at me and said, oh, I don't know any of that. I said, well, look up in that diary you have, that big fat book. And we looked it all up, and it was all available on the NHS. So then I thought, right, every woman in this country is going to go through the menopause. So that's half the population, and it's all available on the NHS. And I'm going to make it and scream it from the rooftops. You don't have to have a £500 blood test, a £280 gynecologist appointment. It costs the NHS £4 for the estrogel, and it saves, because 1 out of 2 women will suffer osteoporosis, 2 out of 3 women in the menopause will suffer strokes or heart attacks, twice as many as men. Suicide is the highest between women of 50 and 55 in the UK than anyone else. So we're looking at dementia, diabetes, osteoporosis, which is like hip replacement, fractured.
My mum's got it.
Yeah, spine. And I had it for a year. I was in the red, and last year in October 2019, from just putting on extra estrogen gel, which is £4, rubbing it on my skin, I'm now in the green, out the red.
Amazing.
And they've never ever done that before. I was one of the first people that they tried it out on, instead of giving me all the drugs for the bones, because they just make the bones brittle. So I wanted everybody to be able to have this. I just didn't want it to be elite, private, yummy mummy. So everything I do on the website is everything is on the NHS. All my products that I make, as we know, are like $4.99, $9.99. My Meg's Menopause range. So they're not in Liberties and in Selfridges. They're in Boots. They're in Superdrug. They're for everybody. You know, It's about giving this back to everybody, because I spent 4 months in my house where I did not leave my house. I basically would put the alarm on in the morning, and I would get out of bed, put the alarm on, go downstairs, put a candle on, put a bit of breakfast out. And Nez would come downstairs, and then I tell her I can't drive, so she would get an Uber to school. My partner would come down, and then he'd go off to work. I would just tie my hair in a ponytail. I'd be like grey sweat. I'd get back into bed. I was in such a dark place with the anxiety. I didn't leave the house for 4 months. I'd come back down when the alarm went off at 4. light candles, put a bit of food out. They would come back, and then I would just say to them, "Oh, I've had a really busy day," and I didn't wash my hair or anything for like months. I was
what you're describing now is exactly the same as using.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
and that was because they were giving me the antidepressant 4 days after. So this was for 4 months, and I was on these antidepressants. The minute I got this thing called estrogel, testosterone gel, you rub it here, so the estrogel here, the testosterone here, and then the estrogen progesterone tablet. It's not synthetic, everyone. It's derived from the yam, from the potato. Within 4 days, my night sweats went. Within 10 days, the foggy brain lifted, and within a month, the anxiety had gone. And I put down the antidepressants because it was the estrogen was the hormone that was missing. It wasn't the antidepressant.
Do you think that a lot of people would drink on that? Like a lot of people?
Yes, hundreds of women. I could have easily picked up on that, but luckily, as they say, I went and shared in that meeting, and there happened to be a woman there who was the same age as me, and who basically came over and took me to one side. But I bet around this country there will be millions of women in recovery that cannot get their head around why they're staying sober, but there's 34 symptoms to the menopause. It starts from the age of 40, which is perimenopause. So we always think that the menopause is like 55, 56, but 1 in 100 women between the ages of 40 and 45 will be having days or weeks where, when the week before their period, their estrogen levels drop to such a low that it makes them feel depressed, it makes them feel anxious, it makes them feel moody. It's all that cycle, but it's even worse than just having PMS for your period. And the letters that I get from women, I mean, they can't go to work, they take all their holidays, and when they go home every night, they're just like, bottles of gin, drinking bottles of wine, and ending up becoming, relying on drink, or they're relapsing. And we know this is huge.
Yeah.
And we hear it all the time.
But the thing is, Meg, that none of this would have been possible if you were still using.
No.
You've achieved so much in recovery. Your life, I've known you for a lot of those relapses and a lot of that time.
Yeah.
And I think this time, the changing is just remarkable. This is Meg again. This is Meg.
Yeah.
This is the real Meg. There's no pretense of you.
This is the real Meg. Yeah.
Right. You know who you are. You're not ashamed of who you are, and it's a beautiful thing to see. It really is. I talk about you a lot to my friends, our same friends that we've got. And, and people that haven't seen you for a while, they go, "How's Meg?" I'm like, "Fucking amazing." That's it. You can't put it into any other words. She's fucking amazing. Because you are. You've come through all of the stuff that you've been through, and you're shining brighter than you've ever shone before.
Yeah, but I feel that. But that's also because I'm putting the work in, and half-heartedly, I have to say, guys, that this program, you have to do everything that is suggested. Because I have tried year after year to do shortcuts, or not say my prayers in the morning, or not do a gratitude list, or not take infantry, or decide not to call a newcomer. I'm sorry, but along the way you trip up. You have to do what is suggested. There's no shortcuts. And I did try for numerous years to do shortcuts, and it doesn't work. So, and I know now that, the work that you put in, and like we say, the newcomer, the most important person, which they are, and, and you just do what is suggested. And, and if you keep doing what is suggested, it's all there for you. It's not hard. It's written out. There's books. There's help. There's meetings. There's you. There's me. We're all here to help everybody out now. And now that I am doing it properly, now it shows it works.
Well, totally 100%. And I'm just so happy and blessed that you really got it. I really am.
No, me too. And I mean, you threw me in at the deep end, Tony. You got me to do a chair. straight away. You got me to do a chair on the Zoom. I mean, you weren't you were just going to make sure that I would just keep one step forward and just get out that comfort zone all the time, which is great because I can manipulate. I remember, oh, I got busy. I've got business. I've got this.
Yeah.
You used to get text messages. Well.
We used to get text messages saying, "Oh, I can't come today because my dad's doing this," and I'll be like, "Oh,
here she goes.
There's Meg again." But we don't have that today, and you know what? When you say you're going to do something, you do it, and that's amazing.
I do it, and I will turn up, and if it is for recovery, I will always turn up.
You hit the nail on the head there. It's about turning up, whether you want to or not, whether it's a thing or a good thing. At the end of the day, it's about turning up and being in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Recovery gives us the tools to allow us to do that. There's things that I don't want to do in life. There's things, there's really sad things that happen in life. Life on life's terms is hard. You know what? When we're in recovery, and we're working what we've been taught, or we go down an avenue of total self-care, that's all that matters. Do you go on and deal with anything? And you're a shining example of that, Meg, and I just want to thank you so much for doing this program today with us.
No, well, thank you for inviting me, Tony, and thank you for the minute I came back to NA, which I'd never been to NA before. I mean, I had 2 seconds in the room, and you were like, "Service," and I was like, but you knew it, because then it kept me coming every single week. No excuse. Because I might have come once, I might have come twice, and then I might have thought, and then went, oh no, it's all the way over in Ladbroke Grove. But that Ladbroke Grove takes me out of my comfort zone because I know everyone here. So I needed to be in a room where I learned and listened to other people's stories, because around where you live, when you keep going, you hear the same old story.
Yeah, totally.
And, I have been doing it for a long time around here.
Well, I think what you just said there, Meg, was the fact that this time you're actually listening. Because we come in and we don't listen. When people tell us stuff, we go to people for help. We can ring someone and ask them to help us. And, we can ring someone and ask them to help us. But whether we actually listen to what they've got to say is a totally different thing altogether.
Absolutely.
It's about learning. And we keep learning and we keep listening, we're going to win.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the meeting we do every day, which is amazing through lockdown, it's been phenomenal. And then everybody who doesn't go, they always keep coming back going, oh, they're all boring, the other meetings. I'm like, well, I told you, I don't even know why you keep going off.
For people that don't know, I do a self-help group on a lunchtime meeting. So,
it's great. Express yourself. It's brilliant.
And I love you, Meg. Thank you so much for doing it.
I love you. Thank you, Tony. Massive.
Keep shining.
I will do. Loads of love.
Bye,
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.